I'm going to take a container of this milk here. I'm going to put some instant coffee and some sugar in it. Call that my caffeine fix for the night, because I don't have enough to get $1 coffee at McDonald's. I don't really even like coffee. That's the thing. I just wanted to go use the internet and have an excuse to be there. Hey, look, see, I am a customer. If an officer decides to come by and be a dickhead. I got my whole vehicle is chock full, and just getting people to stop and take a look is, well, I know a lot of people who have a lot of time on their hands that aren't really doing anything themselves either. So they've got time on their hands, but if they're not helping themselves, they're not going to help me. That's just wishful thinking. Now, wishful thinking is not the worst thing in the world. If it gets you motivated, but then it's not wishful thinking, it's motivational thinking. If I actually try, there's a chance of success. If I don't try, there is zero chance of success in doing anything except failing. There's a lot of people that think that food makes up for not speaking up and not keeping their word. Well, no, it doesn't. You can't buy me off with a sandwich. Either the situation happened or it didn't. Now, for me, I could either focus my anger on the situation directly at the people that are friggin' agitate me the most, or I can direct my energy towards trying to find somebody else who might help. Which one am I doing? Well, I am definitely being vocal about the situation, but I'm going out and trying to find resources and find someone to help. And if I can find my sugar, then I won't need any help with that. Oh. I keep thinking, man, if I keep jumping through all these hoops, maybe one of these people will actually keep their word. But hoop after hoop after hoop, and I'm left at the end of the circus alone. That's metaphorically, of course, for those of you who want to try to pretend everything that I say is some schizophrenic fucking delusion. With the other people who have to go through this hell, it's not a schizophrenic delusion for them either. You know why? Because it's not a fucking delusion. It's the truth. It's the truth of the situations that we have to survive. Maybe if we survive long enough, somebody will give a shit enough to work together with us. We got a lot of strong, independent women out here who aren't as strong and independent as they claim to be. We got a lot of men out here who talk about how they did it all themselves. Shit, they had all sorts of help and they still on the streets. And they're still talking about how they did it all themselves. Well, that's wishful thinking. At that point, you're wishing that people around you believe your bullshit. The people I know who say they did it all themselves are the ones who had the most help from their friends and family. And that's always funny to me. And there are so many women out here who get so much help, and especially when they're younger and prettier. But even when they get older, you can get a doctor to feel sorry for you, and even though he's not actually licensed to do so, he'll give you a tag saying that you're autistic, that you have Asperger's because you're female. Say by a certain age, it's almost impossible to tell if somebody's autistic if they haven't been diagnosed already, because it means they're really good at masking. And yet we have all of these women by the dozens that after that age are diagnosed. So how did they get diagnosed, and how in so many numbers if they're so hard to diagnose? Or if women are so much better at masking? No, it's the fact that if a woman has a meltdown, then you just chalk it up to being a woman, and we're all supposed to accept it. But if it's a man, you do the same thing as you do to any other man. You fucking arrest him. If it's a woman, you get her a crisis counselor. If it's a man, then you get fucking jail. If it's a woman and you get a crisis counselor, she'll actually help you with everything. If it's a man, she'll fucking half-ass everything and drag it out until there's no fucking point in doing anything other than blowing your own goddamn head off. Boys kill themselves at 5 times the rate of girls for a reason, and I'm experiencing that reason right now. I have been experiencing it most of my life. Boys don't matter. Boys in the system don't matter. Boys who become adults don't matter. Boys who grew up in the system and are supposed to be entitled to certain resources because they're not going to have any sort of fucking head start in life. There's supposed to be certain resources that we're all entitled to. Those of us who grew up in the fucking system and our parents are fucking piss fucking poor and useless. And I'm not talking about piss poor as far as money goes, although primarily, yes, piss poor as far as money goes as well. But I'm talking about piss poor as far as the family dynamic goes. You're not the perfect kid. You're not the good-looking one. You're just one of the others. You're one of the other kids I had. A lot of people think, oh, well, if I ignore it, then it means that it didn't happen. That's wishful fucking thinking. All the abuse that I'm going through because you guys didn't speak up, it's specifically because you guys didn't speak up. It's not that I didn't. You tell me I should just lay down and take it over and over again, while people who claim to be my friends rip me the fuck off over and over again. Well, happy goddamn Christmas, motherfuckers. You just wasted a lot more of my time. Meanwhile, I don't hate the people. I hate the fucking situations, and I hate the actions. I hate that it's only illegal if I do something. I hate that the Bollingers and their friends and family and extended fucking friends and pretendy friends from the internet got to do this shit for a whole year before Natalie was killed, and then, of course, since Natalie was killed, they've kept it up. There's all these people out here that need help. Well, when I had a lot of resources, yeah, $800 a month to live on. When I had that many resources, I still didn't have enough for me to survive on. But I had to invest a lot of that money into going and doing things that people said, if you do this and you go to this place, then I'll help you. I'll help you if you come here. I'll help you if you go there. I'll help you if you do this by yourself, by yourself, by yourself. And then if I have to do it by myself, well, they weren't there to see it, so they can just pretend that I didn't try because I didn't get the outcome that they expected. Now here's the thing, like always, it's me having to do it myself. Some people, if I help them out enough, they might go in with me and sit there and look like a fucking bump on a log and not do anything beyond that. Like, what is the fucking point in even showing up? What is the point in making an appointment to do this if you're just going to, well, sit there oblivious to the situation? If you're aware that something is going on, yes, it would be very nice if you could actually speak up instead of being fucking clueless. But that's not going to happen when I have to fucking fight somebody for your goddamn attention so I can get the help you promised. I don't want to fight with anybody for fucking attention. I need help. Big difference. Alright, let's shake this up and see if it works. It should taste alright, I think. Now, we've gotten to hear a lot of people since I got here in Tillamook saying the same things that we're hearing from people nationwide. Hearing from these people on my channel in Hardin, Montana. Hearing from them on my channel in Sherman Oaks, California. You get to hear them from all over the country. Virginia, Tennessee. You get to hear them in Wyoming, Colorado. You get to hear them in Nebraska, Washington State, Oregon, of course, all over the place. I record it. I show that it's true. But going in alone, I've also recorded that and what that's really like and how scary it is. I've recorded witnesses saying one thing and the cops saying another. Why hasn't anything been done about it? Well, got me a message. It's somebody who's been condescending named Dina Parker. Doesn't stop to listen, wants to tell me what to think and what to feel. Literally everything that you're not supposed to do, this person is fucking trolling like motherfucker. How about you stop and listen, dumbass? Stop and listen. Now, there is some stuff that is extremely important. Hunting is extremely important. When you're a poor person, that food is super important. It'll help you survive the year on $35. Whereas otherwise, you're looking at $200 to $300 worth of meat there that you're going to have to spend somewhere else. And you don't get the marrow, and you don't get any of the internal organs, which all have something useful to them. Anyway, if you're going to keep on offering something but not following through, Are you going to pretend that you tried something that you didn't? Are you going to continually to harass me like this Dina Parker person is doing? For the last 5 or 6 messages I've typed, leave me alone, stop harassing me. I've been doing this since well before Natalie was fucking killed. Leave me alone, stop harassing me. I've told everything that I'm supposed to tell people when they say, hey, you need to tell them that you're mentally ill. Fine, I tried that. It didn't fucking work. Dude, you need to tell them that it is a felony for them to do this because you are disabled. I've tried that. They're not fucking listening. What's my next step? Oh, well, we have to jump through a whole shit ton of fucking hoops and paperwork. Hope you have the money for a civil lawyer. You don't? Oh, well, you just have to take it up the ass then. God bless America. On the bright side, while we got all these dumbass, violent motherfuckers out here who every idea that they have is violent, I'm not violent. Otherwise, there would be a lot of bodies. A whole lot of bodies. I've met a lot of evil people in my lifetime. If I had it in me to kill people, the people that I would kill absolutely would surprise the shit out of you. But I don't have it in me to kill people. Me and Chris Stegeman, he used to have this game that he played. One of his favorite games. He liked to sit there and bounce ideas of torture off of people. Like, what do you think of this idea? What do you think of this idea? So, of course, if I wanted to hang out with Chris, it was basically listen to that. That was for like probably about 2 years. He said, one day he asked me, he said, who do you think about when you think about torture? I said, I think about me. He said, me too. I said, do you think when you talk about all that torture stuff, you think about torturing yourself? He said, no, I think about torturing you. I said, well, that's fucking helpful. He said, well, you know, whoever happens to be with me, I think about doing that too. Yes, I was friends with that guy. Anyway, this person, Dina Parker or whatever it is, keeps on messaging me. I'm just trying to help. I was just trying to help. Try listening instead of being condescending. How about try listening? Instead of telling me all the mean shit that people say to homeless people, why don't you try fucking listening? Why don't you try listening to understand? If it was a matter of vengeance, I'm sure that with all of the money that I spent jumping through fucking legal hoops trying to get an honest goddamn court date, I'm pretty sure I could have spent that money making myself explosives and traveling around the country blowing people up. I'm fairly certain with the number of rifles that people have put in my hands since Natalie was killed, and the number of rifles that people offered just to straight up give me, I could have reached out and touched a lot of these people from a long ways away. I'm fairly certain that if I'd spent my gas money instead of driving to court dates and paying my insurance, I could have rigged up my vehicle as a giant fucking explosive. That's the thing. You guys want to pretend like I might do some bad shit and use that as an excuse to fucking victimize me until I have to do desperate shit. Nobody's listening. It's always their turn to talk, and they always have to. They can't help themselves. People cannot separate their personal lives from when they need to help somebody. If you say you're going to help them when they have nobody else, I mean, really, you're all they have. And if they're spending their resources helping somebody who's not even at this point trying to get their own resources, that is super frustrating. I'm glad Claire went and tried to get some resources today, and she did. She got her vehicle. She got it up and going. It's running now. She needs gasoline. Hopefully that'll be tomorrow morning. But tomorrow is Friday. And again, she hasn't taken the time to hear the situation and actually listen, which is super important. I need her to not speak to respond and try to finish my sentences for me, because it gets annoying after a while. And also it denotes that I'm going to have to really try harder to explain it and try to calm down. But the more I'm interrupted, the more difficult it is to do on that. Oh.
Yes.
Well, hello, good sir. I wanted to see if you or anybody in your, what do they call it, a hillbilly foundation? Your clan. That's what it is. Is there anybody between you and your hillbilly clan that might be able to go in with me to the DHS to get some paperwork and ask some questions for, it shouldn't take more than an hour?
That one right there is the one to talk to. She does all the paperwork for everyone.
All right. Now, is she compensated for her troubles?
Huh?
I said, is she compensated for her troubles?
No. She just does it out of the kindness of her heart.
Well, that sucks. I paid a lot of people for helping me that didn't.
You're fine. Ouch.
Isn't it nice when your husband tells you you're fine after all these years?
So he has a question. Okay.
All right, so I gotta go to the DHS and get some paperwork and ask some questions, but if I go in alone, I get blown off because I'm a dude. I was wondering if there's anyone, how did I say it? Hillbilly clan? Is there
Anybody out of our clan that could go with him and help him out? And I said, you normally do all the paperwork.
Okay, so what paperwork are you wanting?
Well, I was already on disability. I got my disability taken away because I didn't get to stay in an area long enough until I was victimized into leaving to get my paperwork in order to maintain my disability. But my disability is out of Nebraska. So without my disability and without my food stamps, I don't have the ability to get the free phone thing that they have going on, which would save me money every month, which people keep pushing me to do. Well, I'm not going to help you unless you do this, and I can't do any of that without their help. So one of the things with DHS is there's a lot of abuse that I've been enduring, so I need to ask some questions about that, but I have to do it in person. Doing it over the phone with another person might work, but I have to be able to record it if it's done that way.
We can go in tomorrow.
What?
There's a kitty.
Yeah.
Is it the black one or the tabby?
I don't know. I just seen it walking that way.
Oh, so it's walking on the other side of the truck. Okay.
Oh, if it's friendly, it's probably the gray one.
Anyways,
Well, I don't think
so You still got your Social Security, right? Or they suspended it.
They took it away because I didn't get any of the stuff turned in. I couldn't. That's one of the things about
So would he have to go
I'm
to
in a
the
state of
senior center
crisis,
for that?
It
so
would be
I
the
even like if I get a
So we
appointment
have what
set
they
up, I
call.
might forget that I have an appointment because I'm overwhelmed with 10,000 different things.
yeah.
And the thing with Molly, and then after her, the thing with Robert, what's his last name?
Farnsworth.
Farnsworth.
Pain in the
Like
ass.
that stuff really does freak me out, and that prevents me from being able to function. So I literally can't function. And autism is a disability, it's also a communication disability. So the more people interrupt me, the more I talk, the faster I talk, and the more scared I am, the more likely it is my words aren't going to come together. There's also a lot of stuff that is against the law that the cops kept on trying to tell me that it's not against the law or it's a civil thing, and it's not. I'm disabled. I get money for a developmental disability, which means that these things are felonies. It also means that the stuff that would normally be a civil situation, because I am easy to take advantage of, these are all criminal acts that are committed by these folks, and they can't just keep turning me down and looking the other way. Also, if they're going to give me a casework, if I'm getting disability, I'm supposed to have a caseworker I can go to about this. I made the inquiries about who my caseworker was because I've gone through all this time without a caseworker helping me, and they called me up, after me making multiple inquiries and them telling me they'll get back to me. They got back to me to tell me that they can't tell me who my caseworker was because I've been dropped from my disability because I didn't turn in their paperwork. It was returned to them. How can I stay in an area and receive that mail if I'm constantly being victimized everywhere I go? I mean, I'm stuck on the streets with drug addicts,
Yeah.
and those are the majority of the people I have to go to for help. Or it's people with severe mental disabilities themselves, or alcoholism, or drug use. And obviously I'm not a drug user, I'm not an alcoholic, I don't go around trying to get laid because I'm not interested in any of that. I'm just overwhelmed, and
Okay,
people
so we
don't
got
have an
DHS.
understanding of it.
Yeah. So
We
instead
got
of
DHS for food stamps, but we got the senior center here,
Well,
which deals with the Social Security part.
yes, it's senior disabilities.
Senior disability.
Yep, and I was dealing with them in the Dalles. That's one of the things that's scary for me. They broke some laws up there in the Dalles and in Hood River when they were supposed to be helping me. And then they tried playing victim, and that's because I was trying to turn in cops who created the issue to begin with up there. I've got all of that recorded and I'm supposed to turn it in. The problem is that the CPS, when I was trying to turn in the human trafficking issue, made me go to a man who's the guy in charge in the Dalles, and he wasn't willing to do his job. He had tried to threaten, harass, and intimidate me for going to his office when I was told to go to his office, and specifically to talk to, I believe her name is, oh God, it's not Tamara. It starts with a T though, and she's the one I was supposed to talk to. Now, when he tried to threaten, harass, and intimidate me and claim that I wasn't there for business with them, I had to start recording, and he didn't like that. So he started getting even more threatening. So when I called up the Child Protection Agency and explained to them what was going on, they said that they would have the lady who was supposed to talk to me call me back. Well, she didn't. She didn't call me back. He did. And I've got over a dozen recordings where I had set up this meeting to meet with this lady to show her the evidence and to get help showing this evidence. And when I got there for the meeting, I was harassed, threatened, insulted, and almost assaulted by her boss. If I hadn't pulled out my recording device, he was getting very irate. She knew what I was there for, but she was just standing there like a bump on a log, not saying anything. So then when I had to leave there because he was being very threatening, and I called it into them, they said that he wasn't gonna, and then they were gonna have her call me. She didn't. It ended up being him again, and he was so nice. So nice, like, oh, I'm gonna be the nicest guy in the world now. It's gonna make up for the fact that I tried to threaten you because you were trying to turn in human trafficking. And that's the thing about my friend Natalie getting shot in the head. The guy that was human trafficking Natalie is this girl that I found out about 3 months ago. I tried turning it into Hood River. I tried turning it into the Dalles. I tried turning it into all the places I'm supposed to. I had to go in alone. They treated me like I'm crazy. And then they threatened me when I was like, hey, this is a human fucking life. How would you feel if somebody did that to your kids? you know, and then people pretend I'm threatening their kids. How would you feel if for 3 months you were trying to get help because your kid was missing and the cops were doing that to you? And the fact that I have it recorded shows that they broke the law. I mean, I can make literally millions of dollars off these idiots. It's not about the money. I do need something to live on. It's about being able to have a safe place and not have to do this alone, because all they have to do is call me mentally ill. Then everything that I say is discredited. They refuse to look at evidence, and that's why I have 6 years of Molly's and Farnsworths. And they're not the only predators that I have in this town either. One of them that I have, he drives a RV it's one of the Dolphin RVs, and he's been stalking me since Hood River. Now that situation with him started because of the police lying and saying that I was on drugs, doing drugs with people in my vehicle, and various other things that were not true. They also claimed that I was schizophrenic. Like, a cop cannot diagnose schizophrenia.
Nope.
And I've got my paperwork on that shows that I am not schizophrenic, that I do have PTSD, I am not delusional, I don't have bipolar disorder, I do have, post-traumatic stress disorder, Tourette syndrome, and Asperger's. But I have the paperwork in my vehicle. It's buried. I've got 15 bags worth of evidence, just paper evidence. I've got over 2,000 recordings, video recordings of actual situations and or phone calls with the different agencies for them to all send me around in circles. In Chapel, Nebraska alone, I was arrested on 11 separate occasions. I was arrested on bogus charges that they had to let go. And all of those occasions, I was trying to turn in the sheriff of Dual County. Now, the sheriff of Dual County is the only law enforcement there other than state patrol. You're supposed to go to state patrol when there's an issue with the local sheriff's department, especially with the sheriff. Well, the state patrol kept telling me it's not their job to police the police. And Dual County Sheriff's Department kept saying we're not allowed to investigate ourselves. And then they assaulted me and arrested me for calling back and forth because they just kept on doing that literally for years. So it's complicated.
By the way, she won her case.
Who?
The female officer won her case against the county sheriff's department for harassment and sexual discrimination.
Which,
Well, that's what I'm looking
The
at.
dark-haired cop that we'd always see, the only one besides the bitch that we'd see, there was a Tillamook police officer, dark hair. It's been a couple years, but she went after the police department because, one, she was not getting paid the same as what the males were, and they were discriminating against her because she was a female.
I get discriminated against because I'm a male.
Yeah.
I mean, most of this comes
Is
down
she
to
one?
that.
Yep.
I'm glad.
good.
That's right.
You know, I'm not friendly with any cop. I got cops that are friends of mine off duty, but in the end, they're still cops. But anytime that the cops are made to pay for their crimes, I am fucking ecstatic because they commit so many against innocent people.
They're not supposed to be above the law.
But they are. I have evidence that can put a lot of cops in jail and a lot in prison. I can show you literally paperwork in my vehicle from the jails and from the prisons and from elsewhere that shows that I turned in criminals with badges as well as other public servants. Over 24 of them since Natalie was killed have been arrested for doing exactly what it is I said they were doing to me. Why? Because they got a big head when they got away with doing it to me, and they did it to other people.
Yeah, there was an officer that was.
So what time do we want to do that DHS tomorrow?
I'm free as soon as I drop everybody off.
All right. Well, I have.
DHS opens what? 9?
9. I think
Okay.
that's what seniors does too. So I think honestly,
And it's just right down the
I
road.
think seniors disability would be the best one to go for.
Well, if
because-
I got to get my food stamps first, if I'm able to run in there and do that, I could get the phone probably on Monday.
You can do all that at the senior disability because if you can, they'll look up
The
your
food
social.
stamps you can do?
Yes, that's where we have to do ours.
Yep.
If you go in there
Senior
and
center's down the
But
road, though.
they're both DHS though. It's
Yes.
the
Okay.
Center for the Center for People with Disabilities is different from the DHS the DHS Office for People with Aging and Disabled. They're
Yes.
two different agencies. One of them is the actual DHS agency. The other one is like a
so
offshoot
basically
sort of thing.
one help assist is basically just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
That's just our daughter.
That's all right.
Oh, Scotty.
I gotta grab my charger real quick. My phone will die. Oh. Was ist das? Das ist eine Schlampe.
No.
Uh-huh.
Whoa.
Come on. Okay, Athena. Athena. You stay close to me.
You know, it's funny. I've been petting on another Athena today too. I'm gonna pet the doggy. 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 Now that is submission. He didn't even have to touch the dog for her to lay down and roll her belly over and whine, knowing that she had done wrong. That's pretty nice.
So call and try to find out.
I missed something important. I'm assuming that ain't my business.
Hi, sweetheart. I've got a wild question for my son.
Not.
Oh,
Hey,
this evening.
I want
Actually,
one.
no. It would have been earlier.
Yeah, you know better, don't you?
It would have been earlier.
You better start listening. You better start listening.
Who was charging up?
Now load up.
He wasn't even touching her, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry."
She knows that Daddy's mad at her. She don't like that.
Okay, then how could Teresa give permission for somebody to get 8 hours overtime?
All right, I'll be right back. So, Krakow. Scheit, was ist das? Das ist eine Schweinehund. I didn't learn very much German, but I learned enough to get my ass kicked. I didn't learn very much French either, but I learned enough to get my ass kicked. I know enough Spanish to get my ass kicked. And I almost know enough Portuguese to get my ass kicked. So, at least there's one thing I'm good at. Pissing people off multiculturally and multinationally. Woohoo! Go Broncos. How much you want to bet Denver Broncos win the World Series? Bonjour.
I'm in my rig, but yeah, let's try to shoot for around 9 or go after 9.
All right, here in the parking lot?
Yeah.
All right. I can definitely do that.
All right.
And if there's any changes, you got my number. You can give her my number. You have my permission.
All right.
All right, be safe. Thank you. I believe I might have a pimple on my posterior that might need popped. So I'm going to check. It might also be a chunk of stick or twig or something in my back pocket poking me in the backside. I just know it's pressure. You're welcome for sharing, folks. All right. Digging for gold in all the wrong places. Digging for gold. All right, it's a pimple. See if I can turn on the light and see what exactly I'm working with. All right, that's a piece of scab, so it's been popped once already. Or the front end of it's been worn off a bit. Let's see what kind of pus we can get out of it. If it's any decent, I'll show it to you. Yeah, not much. Yep, a little bit of ickiness right there. Kind of pink colored, which means it's got some blood in it. You can see the reflection on it. There's some more right there. Gross. It's a good thing I got friggin' nasty wipes for emergencies like that. And of course, here's Band-Aids. On stuff like that that's on your butt, you're going to want to put a Band-Aid on it just because it decreases the chances of getting infections. Especially if you're out here homeless. Your pants are probably filthy. And I do have my clandestine recording device. It's all cleared, so if I have to sit at the DHS office for 9 hours tomorrow, I can. I do plan on suing the living shit out of these motherfuckers for what they've done. But I don't want that money going to me. I want it going to all of the other victims. It needs to go to the other people who have had to endure this fucking hell too. It needs to go to Roseanne Kelly. It needs to go to Alicia Bollinger. It needs to go to Kayla Trujillo. These are the real victims. These are the real victims of the police not doing their fucking jobs. Now, Natalie and her fucking drug addiction aside, no matter what the situation with Natalie Bollinger and her drug addiction, it does not excuse the police not doing their fucking jobs. You don't want me to bitch about you not doing your fucking job? Then do your fucking job. If you're getting paid for it, then fucking do it. But it wasn't just Natalie Bollinger. A lot of people were involved in that situation before Natalie was killed. And if the police would have done something to stop it, it wouldn't have continued. If they'd have fucking stepped in and fucking done what should have been done, which is, well, negotiate. Fucking get those two people together in a room or on the phone with a fucking negotiator or arbiter and fucking hash it out. Obviously, it was more than just a minor issue. Obviously, with Natalie and I both trying to get the fucking police involved, that yes, both of us were trying to get a stop put to this shit. She was pissed off that I was trying to get help stopping actual abuse. I was being actually abused because she wanted to pretend like I might actually abuse her. Well, there's a big fucking difference between might and am. And that's what people didn't want to get. Every one of you is capable of murder. Every single one of you. And as a result, if we're going to go locking people up because they might do something, all of you need to be locked up for the rest of your lives because you might fucking murder somebody. You might. And all these people want to do the what if. Well, what are you going to do if this happens? What are you going to do if that happens? Well, motherfucker, we'll worry about that bridge when we come to it. But for the time being, we need to work in and focus on the most likely possibilities and probabilities and likelihoods. Natalie Bollinger was high risk. With the situations I grew up in, the places I grew up in, and the family that I have, yes, I am an excellent judge of risk fucking management when it comes to addicts and people on the street. Obviously, with the dynamics when it comes to human beings, I'm right about those dynamics. I'm also right to be frustrated, and it is right to be even frustrated with these people. But do I hate them? No, I hate the situation. That's what I hate. I hate seeing all these people going through what they're going through, and knowing that just 7 years ago, prior to October of 2015, there's a lot of options that I had for helping people, and I exercised them every day. I walked people to the warming centers every single day that they were open. If I got a break for a day or two, I considered it fucking lucky. It was a vacation. But that was because I got to sit on my lazy ass on Pearl Street with my blankets and wait for somebody new to walk by, usually somebody coming out of the Boulder bus station. They don't know heads or tails of nothing. One time this guy gets off of a bus, right? He gets off a bus from Florida in Denver, and then he's able to get on the bus in Denver to Boulder. By the time he gets to Boulder, it's snowing. It's already starting to blizzard in Boulder. And the guy got off of the bus with flip-flops, shorts, and a t-shirt, and he's looking out the window of the Boulder bus station, and he's fucking shivering. And he's looking out the window at the Boulder bus station, and he says, "Is that snow?" I said, "No, the Coke factory blew up." Of course it was snow. Do what? Oh, I was talking to my telephone.
I'm heading in to get some milk.
Yes, sir. $8:14. I think McDonald's is still serving coffee for about 15 minutes. I am not going to make it there on time. I don't have enough change to get one. On the bright side, I do have around half a tank still of gas. Now I'm going to still write down what my needs are. And of course, if them other two can get theirs written down, that right there will at least be a start and we can prioritize. If they can write those down and prioritize, I'll still work with them even with my limited abilities. The reason for that is because if they're able to sit down, write it down, and prioritize it in that way, it shows that they're making effort. And because it's written down, they've got 70% increased chance of success. That's a pretty significant increase. You're a lot more likely to be successful if you write your goals down. If you're having a problem, you can, and you have a solution, what you can do is you can work yourself backwards from your solution back to where you're at. And each stage, since you're working backwards, you work backwards to what you have to hand currently. There's a lot of resources that you can't count on. Now, if we think of it in terms of paychecks, each paycheck that I spend, that I have to spend trying to get a court date and defend myself and move and run through all these hoops that I got to run through in order to try to keep myself safe and my evidence safe. Let's say that $800 a month disability, which was only about $600 when Natalie was killed, but it's increased because of cost of living. Let's just call it that $600, although I was spending about $800 to $900 a month on court costs at the time. Once I've spent that money, I have to wait another month. If it takes you a month to speak up, you've cost me a whole paycheck of jumping through hoops that I'm only having to jump through because you haven't come forward. They're treating me like I'm a liar, and your testimony shows that I'm telling the truth, but you're giving me empty promises and wasting my time. Let's say it takes you 2 months to come forward. You've decreased my chances of being heard. You've decreased the chances of anything happening. You've increased the chances of people not having a fresh memory about the situation, and you've cost me 2 paychecks. In 7 months, you've cost me 7 paychecks. because I still have to pay that stuff every month until this is finished. I still have to continually come up with money that I don't have to take care of myself, because the money that is supposed to be used to take care of myself has been robbed from me for 6 fucking years. If $600 ain't enough to fucking live on, and you're charging me $800 a month because you press false fucking charges on me for telling on you, we got a major issue. None of the protocols in the prisons were followed. As a result, the guards were allowed to repeatedly threaten, harass, intimidate, and assault me, including sexually, in retaliation, just like Scott DaCosta and Leslie Snell got to work together and prevent me from going to my court dates. He used the criminal courts to charge me with false charges and prevent me from going to the civil court that Leslie Snell made sure that I couldn't go to, because she was involved in all of the criminal court stuff. Her name is all over all of it. And she outright repeatedly lied over and over and over again. And the fact that my paperwork proves it is pathetic. Because all it takes is one person who isn't a fucking idiot to look and speak up. And I am farting. That's unpleasant. Oh, damn. That is stinky. Hoo-wee. The hell did I eat? Oh. Anyway, I'm steadily burning down the gasoline. But on the bright side, I'm getting my electronics charged. My phone has gone from 3% charged to 13% charged. And it's given me friend suggestions of people that I'm already friends with. If it's giving me friend suggestions for people that I'm already friends with, then it's a duplicate account. Some of these duplicate accounts are because they locked themselves out of their old account. Some of them are people who are mad at me because they got locked out of their old account. Because when they spoke up, or at least tried to on Facebook groups, right at the very beginning, people tried claiming that they weren't who they said they were. And then they got kicked out of their accounts until they could provide proof that they are who they say they are. And as street people, it's not that easy to get a fucking ID. You think it's a matter of you go down there and say, I don't have the money for an ID. And they give you money for an ID. And the ID place is next door. And you walk in and you say, I need a new ID. Here's the money. And they give you one. No, it's a bunch of fucking correspondence by goddamn snail mail that they always end up losing. You end up with an important piece of evidence or an important piece of mail that says you're supposed to go to an appointment 6 months ago. Like, great, why didn't you send this fucking piece of shit 6 months ago? Why do you keep sending this shit out late? This fucks over the victims. And the fact is, these apartments know exactly what they're doing when they send that mail out late. And they pretend that it's your fault for not showing up to an appointment you didn't even know you fucking had. When you tell them you can only be reached by email, they only reach out to you by snail mail. When you tell them you can only be reached by snail mail, they'll only reach out to you by email. When you say you can only talk to them on the phone, Well, they're not going to call you on the phone. They're going to say they can't do that. And then later on, they'll call you on the phone and say that magically they can now. Why is it that the rules keep fucking changing so that it is convenient enough that the rules magically change and coincide with whatever makes it okay for them to not do their job, for them to neglect their duties, and for them to fleece the American public for your hard-earned fucking tax dollars? These are not my hard-earned tax dollars. I paid taxes for years. I didn't get shit out of it except victimized. But I did pay my taxes, and I was glad that those taxes were going to feed children in fucking shitty situations. I am not glad about that money being used to victimize those fucking victims once they become adults. I can't turn off PTSD just to make you happy. And there's a lot of you parents who are real fucking shitty to your kids. Your kids are hyperactive. Yeah, they're fucking kids. And you give them drugs that turn them into a fucking zombie. And of course, not a literal zombie. But your kids are sick. They feel sick on those drugs. They can barely process what is going on around them because you're giving them drugs that fuck them up. And then you wonder why it is that their grades are failing. And you say, oh, well, he's doing so well at home. I don't understand why his grades are failing. He's not a nuisance in school anymore. But of course, he's not getting his daily work done. He's not getting his homework done. Or she. They got those constant bags under their eyes. And then there's those of us who grew up on Ritalin. You can tell us from the rest of the kids because you'll walk into a coffee shop and you'll see somebody pouring 2 tons of sugar in their fucking cup. Yeah, Ritalin, baby. Right now, I'm worried about a 14-year-old girl here in this town who was fucking assaulted by a sheriff's deputy and then fucking sent to the hospital to be drugged. They had already decided that that's what they were going to do. No proper assessment, just the cops and their buddies. No, what they did there was not fucking okay, and somebody needs to fight for that girl's fucking rights. And that starts with me getting fucking heard. Ugh. Alright. I'm not as young and pretty as I used to be, but on the bright side, with each wrinkle and each gray hair, I get that much closer to pretending like I've got wisdom and actually passing it off. Age does not necessarily make you wise. Alright, let's see how much charge we're getting on this. 21% on that one. This one is not plugged in. I don't think that one's going to be charging anytime soon. It's not plugged in. 92%, that's good. The one that's at 21% is the one that I let Claire borrow last night. They had problems finding it this morning, otherwise I'd have charged it and let them use the other one so that they would have a charge. Windows are starting to fog up. There's boo-hoo. It's the right season for saying it, at least.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I gotta run around and try to find enough change for coffee in the morning, so I'm gonna head out. Jason has my number, and so does Scott.
Okay, we'll see you back here at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And hey. All right. Now, one of the things about people in survival mode is it's important for them not to get overwhelmed, because then they'll shut down. And with Claire, she's going to be more prone to that than a lot of people out here for the same reasons as me. She's already overwhelmed and she's got her own shit going on. And I'm hoping that she'll be able to make time. If all else fails, though, I mean, I at least would hope that she would admit that I went to her for help, and, you know, her reasons for not being able to. You know, there's the dynamics of an interpersonal relationship that doesn't have to be brought up. You know, family issues or spousal issues, or, you know, that could fall into any number of categories of, yeah, I don't really want to share all of my personal information, but I had shit going on. It's not that I didn't want to help. In concept, I would have. And that's the thing, is I do leave room and leeway for people to have experiences of life fucking happening. But how often do I get that? Not often. Most often, before I get to explain what I'm going through, people are telling me a whole bunch of stuff about their personal life, and you know what? I'd like to help them with it, and I'm willing to help them with it, but let's do something about it. If it's at the point where you've told me about your personal crap 30 times, but you still haven't done anything, you know, like, could you just stop bitching then, and we could work on something with somebody who actually wants to do something about it? I am so sick of people talking to me just to complain about their personal life. If it's just a complaint, save it. I don't fucking care. If you're wanting to do something about it, let's do something about it. I am down with that. Now, people's hormones and those personal dynamics, people may have the best intentions, but their hormones get in the way of those intentions. Not my fault, not my choice, not my circus, not my rodeo, not my monkeys, and not my bronco. Going to throw away a big chunk of garbage here. It's well, it's taking up a lot of space. You know, if people would stop to think about all of the things I do in the average day to try to help others, sometimes because I need help and they promise to help, and sometimes because I see that they need it. There's a lot of people that I offered to pay to help, and they say, oh no man, I'll do it for free, but then they never follow through, and they never follow through. So, you know, I'd rather pay somebody who's actually going to treat it as a job and take a look than, you know, get what you pay for. Meanwhile, as far as friends go, you wouldn't think you'd have to pay for friends. And you wouldn't think that you'd have to pay for your friends to tell the truth or to come forward and be honest. You wouldn't think that you would have to record conversations with your friends and post it on the internet to show that it's true. With Natalie and her friends and all of the shit that they put me through for over a year before she was killed. You goddamn right I exposed her dad. You goddamn right I exposed Tim Beeson. You goddamn right I did something to try to stop the abuse. While Natalie was pretending that I might abuse her, I was actually being abused. While she was pretending that I stalked her, I was actually being stalked. While she was pretending that I threatened her family, my family was actually being threatened. While she pretended like I threatened to kill Tim Beeson and her dad, Tim Beeson and her dad had already threatened to kill me. Now, the one that I can't prove is Ted Bollinger. I don't know if it's really her dad who fucking called me up. I know that his voice wasn't a whole lot different from Tim Beeson's. And I know that no less than 2 different boyfriends of Natalie's fucking called me up to harass me. I also know that after she died, I got to deal with more of these fucking assholes calling to fucking harass me. And what do these people all have in common? Drugs. Fucking drugs. Holy hell. Anyway, tomorrow we're gonna go to the Oregon Department of Aging Disabled, and hopefully they do their jobs. Likely they will not. We shall see. With another person there, it usually does something. It gives you a much higher chance. Whereas if you go in alone, especially as a disabled and homeless male, your chances are close to fucking 0. A lot of people don't understand that because they didn't have to do it alone. Or because they weren't homeless when this shit happened to them. They had resources. I noticed that the resources that are supposed to be for the most at risk don't go to those who are the most at risk, because the most at risk don't have the resources to go jumping through all the hoops that it takes to get it. There's your catch-22. Yes, there's services for you, but you can't reach them because it's going to cost you a lot of money to do it. Oh, it shouldn't be too much to come up with $2.25 for the bus. It sure is. It sure is when you haven't eaten in 3 fucking days. It sure is when you've got somebody who stops when you got a sign that says, "We'll work for food," and then you work all day and fucking you don't get paid and you don't get any food either. They say, I'll pick you up tomorrow, and they never show back up. But you can't make a big deal about it because the cops will show up and arrest you, and you fucking know it. So you just have to take it. And then people want to complain about how wrong it is to do that shit to Mexicans. Holy fuck, it's wrong to do that shit to anybody. How is it any more right to do that to a homeless person? What if it was an immigrant who was a homeless person? Well, in that particular case, they're not considered an immigrant anymore because immigrants have fucking rights. Homeless people don't. Black people have rights. Homeless people don't. Women have rights. Homeless people don't. Sure, you're supposed to have rights, but when you become homeless, you're no longer a woman. You're no longer a man. You're no longer black. You're no longer white. You're no longer a Jew. You're no longer a Gentile. You're a hobo. And everything that is no longer politically correct to blame Jews on. or to blame Christians for, or to blame Muslims for, or to blame immigrants for, or to blame black people for, or to blame women for, or to blame men for. You're not allowed to do any of those. Well, you can blame men still. You're not allowed to do any of the rest of that, though, unless your target is homeless. A homeless female is no longer considered a female with the rights of a female. She's now a homeless person. A black person, we got all sorts of special rights for minorities, right? Well, those don't apply once you become homeless, and that's why the statistics are still so fucking high on that. Because although things are actually getting better for black people in houses, they're getting worse for black people on the streets. It's getting increasingly difficult for a police officer to murder a black person in a house and get away with it. But a black person on the streets doesn't even matter to BLM, except for the numbers. If Mark Swanigan was shot in the head today by police, straight up fucking assassinated, you wouldn't even hear about it because he's a homeless black man. You wouldn't give two fucking shits. BLM wouldn't pick up his case, but they'd sure use him as a statistic. They'd go, oh, well, 277 black men have been killed so far this year. Oh, 278 now, because Mark Swanigan does count as one of those numbers. He just doesn't count as a human being with a name to those people. BLM is a racist hate group. Yes, Black Lives Matter, but so does mine. So do those Native women up there in Montana. And those Native men as well that MMIW has to turn a blind eye to. Because the American public doesn't care unless you specifically point out that it's happening to women. And even then it's a toss-up. Alright. Well, I better plug my goddamn phone back in, right? I got an appointment, 9 o'clock tomorrow. Somebody to help in person, hopefully. And the thing that sucks is it's somebody I know already to be overburdened. My family is not overburdened. My family simply doesn't give a shit because they're selfish people. If you're gonna molest your own daughter, yeah, you're a selfish person. If you choose drugs over your own kids, yes, you're a selfish person. If making a profit is more important than your own offspring, you are not a good fucking person. If you're gonna fucking damage your son for not being Rain Man, you're not a good fucking person. When you make your 15-year-old son do at least 2 to 3 hours of trying to learn HTML by himself after school before he's allowed to go to work or do his homework, yeah, there's a major issue with that. I didn't want to make porno sites for my dad. But that's not what the argument that I left my dad's was over. The argument I left my dad's over was over him beating me for a third time over an F in PE that was his fault. It would have cost $28 to buy a uniform. There was 2 gym teachers. The gym teacher that my dad talked to at the beginning of the year said that it would be all right if I wore black shorts and a white t-shirt. Well, that wasn't the teacher I ended up getting for PE. The other teacher said that doesn't count. It doesn't work. And although I wore that uniform every single fucking day, it was not the right uniform because it didn't have my last name on the back of it, and their school logo on the front of it. So, explaining that to my dad, he's telling me how wrong I am. He's not communicating with my new teacher to find out if I'm telling the truth or not. He's going on old information from a teacher I didn't get. A teacher who, by the way, every day, even though I was in my black shorts and my white t-shirt, like I was instructed to by my dad, he still benched me every single day and said he's going to continue benching me until I wear my uniform. Now, of course, when my report card came in, I'm a freshman in high school. I get an A+ in horticulture 3 and 4. I haven't even taken horticulture 1 and 2. Does my dad notice that I aced a college course without taking the precursors? No, what he cared about is an F in PE. Now, the third time he got drunk on rum and coke and was doing his sock me in the stomach thing and fucking preach at me, let me gain my oxygen again, and then sucker punch me in the tummy again. Like, yeah, you know, thanks, Dad, you're dad of the fucking year. Yes, you deserve a fucking award. He wants to bring up the fact that it's expensive to have a kid like me. Well, shit, I'm not allowed to bring up the fact that I was fucking fucked up the ass in the fucking system because his dumb bitch ass wanted to make a profit selling fucking cocaine. He got busted and went to prison. Whose fault is it that my dad went to fucking prison? And I'm not allowed to bring that up because it's 20 years old. But he's allowed to bring up shit that's 20 years old. The rules are always different for you than they are for others, aren't they? Well, homie, don't play that. It doesn't look like there's any change in this here parking lot. So we'll go over to another one. See, here's the thing about spending that coffee money to go to the Starbucks to do something, is that if I'm going to the Starbucks to do something, I need to know what we're doing. What are you going to help me with? Well, nothing if you're not even listening to what the hell's going on. And you're busy telling me the way that it works, but not finding out the way that it actually is. You can tell me how you think the law is supposed to work until you're blue in the face. The reality of my situation is that my situation and your assumptions are not the same. Now the situation with Molly got away with it not because I didn't try, but because cops wanted to ignore me. They didn't want to do their fucking jobs and they let it get out of hand. And after they let it get out of hand, it got even worse. And they still wouldn't do shit. It's not their fault they didn't do their jobs. That's one of the things with Megan Missigatis. By the time she realized that she was going to end up being the scapegoat because Dual County Sheriff's Department didn't want to do their fucking jobs and the State Patrol didn't want to do their jobs, well, she decided to be a dumbass and try to just cover everything up. Holy shit, are you really going to do that to somebody who records everything? You're dumb. Now, for me, if I had the money for coffee, then I could go in tomorrow morning and some of the information that I need to pull off of there in order for the disability stuff, I'd be able to do. But I can't because I spent my coffee money today to go in and try to take care of things so that we could go in and take care of that stuff today with the other two folks that was going to help me. Meanwhile, we've got how many witnesses recorded on my YouTube channel of these multiple situations where crimes were committed, including the situations with the police officers where they blew me off? We've got dozens and dozens and dozens, don't we? I have to understand those people have their own lives. But also, I don't have to understand that. I don't. If people aren't going to understand that I have my own life, that I am trying the best I can, that I don't have the resources that they have access to. And there's a lot of people who treat me like shit for even saying that. You know, I don't have family that I can ask for help. The cops find out if I have friends or family that can help me, and I don't want to answer that because I know that if I say no, I don't have friends or family that'll help me, then they know they're going to get away with it. And they don't have to do their jobs. It's their word versus mine. When you make me go in alone, what you are doing is guaranteeing that I am going to be victimized. You are guaranteeing that my predators are going to get away. And if my predators get away, they're going to do those things to other people. I've been showing this for years. Waylon Lolatai assaulted me. Nobody listened to me, so he assaulted at least 6 other people on camera. That's just on camera. And that's just the cameras that somebody tried to requisition. What about the other assaults? People wanted to pretend if they ignored it, it would all go away. No, if you ignore it, they get away with it. And I'm still going to speak up. And I'm going to shame you for not doing so. I'm going to shame you for being such a shameful person. Such a stupid, stupid person. For being such a spineless runt. Or for being a sexist pig. Now, of course, with a female officer here showing that she was discriminated against and paid less and so on and so forth than the men, well, that's good. It's even better if they actually do something about it and actually try to take some corrective measures. Obviously, Tillamook PD lost. So yeah, maybe somebody needs to look into the actions of Tillamook PD. If they're going to be sexist pigs towards their own officers, what makes you think for one moment that they're not going to do that stuff to homeless people? If a woman come up and told me that an officer on the Tillamook Police Department raped her, I'd believe her. And I'd help her turn it in. I know that Adams County, the county that Natalie Bollinger was killed in, where the police there tried to not only frame me for a crime I didn't commit, but also took part in covering up the crimes committed by the Bollinger family and other officers across multiple jurisdictions. A lot of these folks are telling me their stories, but they have no evidence of it. The ones who are able to provide evidence of it, you goddamn right I speak out. Rebecca Gross-Nickel-Foley, holy shit, she saved evidence, just like I did. And we're not talking about tweaker evidence like my little sister fucking staring at tweaker cams of jack shit for hours on end. Like, yeah, she's got 7 cameras around her trailer, all recording all at once, and somehow magically she's got a fucking blind spot. How do you get a blind spot with that many cameras? I could cover every angle of the whole goddamn thing with 2 cameras. I could guarantee I could see every surface of the exterior of the fucking thing with 3 cameras. Now, if you got 2 cameras that are pointing catty corner in towards your trailer. You can see if anybody approaches it. My sister has 7 cameras, and she says she goes through each and every one of the videos on every one of the cameras. She tries 2 every day, but she's months and months and months backlogged. But meanwhile, what does she have backlogged? Nothing. There's nothing there. There's the wind. There's, of course, lights off in the distance. There's some refractions and reflections. There's certainly no aliens or Illuminati. There's no military drone that Ed's cousin sent over. Oh, somebody's vitamin water trap. It's not a huge piece of garbage, but it's big enough to be unsightly, and I suppose while I'm here I can afford to pick up a piece of garbage and throw it away once in a while. It's pretty obvious I don't like confrontation. When it's necessary, it is absolutely necessary. It's pretty obvious I don't like being bullshit. Who does? There's a lot of people that, after wasting my time for months and months and months on end, wanted things from me immediately. I said that they wasted my time for months and months and months on end, and they wanted me to take it down now. Oh no. You had 7 months to come forward on your own. Instead, you let people hurt me over false narratives, made 0 effort to actually help. You bullshit me. You lied to me. You made insinuations to me of things you were going to do that you never followed through with, over and over and over again. And then you want to play victim because I recorded it after months of the same bullshit out of you. And you want instant gratification. Holy fuck, you're a special kind of stupid. When there's a time limit, and if this doesn't get done, alright, that doesn't belong there. I don't know why people keep putting their trash in the friggin' planters. I guess that's a pretty piece of garbage, but still, it's unsightly. Now, I won't be able to go to Starbucks and do any of the stuff on the computer that I would need for going for this particular errand. See, there's the DHS stuff about the abuse, and then there's the DHS stuff about the disability stuff, and really, I should be able to do that all through the same office, but instead they make it complicated, and DHS has like 8 different subdivisions of their offices, and you have to call the right one. And then, of course, you have to call all these places in fucking triplicate, and you have to call them with someone. And when you have to wait on somebody who is supposed to be a professional to do their fucking job, I've got over and over and over again these people who are supposed to be my caseworkers, where they're sick, they can't show up because of something else. And then when they don't show up, I get notifications saying that I'm going to get dropped from this program or that program because I didn't make it to such and such appointments. Holy fuck, how am I going to make it to those appointments when they call me up and say they're not going to be there? That was the issue with Tamara. That was before Natalie was killed. There was like 5 different times where they were no call, no shows, or they called and let me know that they weren't going to show up, but they're the ones that didn't show up. And then I get this thing where they're dropping me from the program. That was the first time with Region 1. That they're dropping me because I missed so many of my appointments. I'm like, I didn't miss any. I literally missed none. By the time I got that notification, I'd literally missed 0 of my appointments in the whole time I'd been going. And then I ended up altogether having like 1 or 2 of the appointments that I didn't go to, but I wasn't a no-call, no-show. But the point of that is that I'm being victimized because other people didn't show up. I'm getting dropped from a program that is supposed to help me so that I can stop people who are being predatory towards me. And I'm going to these people. What am I wasting my time for? All right, so we got another troll on here, and we know what to do with these people. We take a screenshot, and then we click on their little icon here. Why is that not working? Alright, I don't know why it's not working. We'll get it though. Anyway, we're gonna get rid of this guy because we're used to his antics. This is no fun. Well, I'll make it work. Let's find a way to do this. Hide user on this channel. Blam. In real life, you don't get to do that. In real life, when Molly's being a fucking nut job, Molly's being a nut job. In real life, when Mr. Farnsworth is pulling his bullshit, yeah, Mr. Farnsworth is pulling his bullshit. You refusing to look doesn't mean it's not true. You refusing to take a look at evidence doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Oh. Let's see if we can get some of these here empty coffee things and fucking throw them away. Try to get something productive done with my day. Woohoo! Alright. There's a flashlight. Now, I'm used to these trolls. They make a lot of accounts. People have been making fake accounts to harass me since well before Natalie was ever killed. So this is a dynamic that I am well and truly far more used to than any person should have to be. Now, for people to victimize the shit out of me and then play victim is a pretty fucked up thing to do. But we have taught every woman in America that this is acceptable. We got to consider ourselves lucky when we run into women who don't pull that crap, who aren't like that. Like that viral video of that young man who he's having a conversation with his ex-girlfriend, and she's saying that she's gonna run around telling people he's a pedophile because he broke her heart. Well, that's some fucking psycho shit there, if I ever heard some. Anybody who doesn't consider that psycho is probably fucking psycho. Alright. Cleaning out my garbage a bit at a time. Eventually I'll have it all out of here. Well, probably not. It'll probably just keep building up. And that's the thing, is that I'm living in inhumane conditions that I was forced into. Now, don't get me wrong, I've definitely broken the law. I'm also proud of every time and every occasion that I did break the law, because it's not in my nature. Especially not antagonistically the way that I did. But you know what? It came to human lives, and somebody had to do something. With people allowing Waylon Lolatai to get away with it, he got a big head, and we're lucky he didn't fucking kill somebody. Very easily, any one of his victims could have ended up in the same position as Tibor Hatay. Dead as a fucking doornail. Of course, then there's also the officers that killed Demetrius Shankling. Worked at the Boulder County Jail. Man, those guys are assholes. But nobody wanted to hear me or listen to me about the situation. Instead, it was me being prevented illegally from going to my court dates. They did everything that they could to prevent me from going to court and preventing me from showing evidence. They knew that I was incarcerated and refused to release that information to the judge. Or the fact that they denied me all of my fucking rights. Are they going to fucking admit that shit? No. And are my public pretenders going to do their jobs? Only if someone cares. Did Mandy Hughes ever call my public pretender? Did Kayla Trujillo ever call my public pretenders? Did any of these people make any actual evidence, or were they just lip service? Was it, yeah, if you come back at 11, and then I show up at 11. Or they say, hey, if you show up at 2:30 and I show back up at 2:30. Or they say, hey, man, fucking you should be patient when I'm 3 days fucking late and haven't even messaged you in 3 fucking days. But they want instant gratification. When people bullshit me and knew that they'd committed criminal acts, damn right they wanted that shit down. No, I'm not going to take down evidence. I might make it private, but you got to stop being a little bitch. If you're going to tell me something, you got to come forward with me to the fucking cops about that shit. Don't fucking play goddamn head games with me. When it comes to police nationwide, yes, I am absolutely certain that these people who say that we should just go running around and shooting all the police, I am certain that I don't agree with that tactic, but I'm also certain that they're right. Violent people will only listen to violence. That's why it took the Black Panther Party marching into the California Senate with firearms to actually do something about the Jim Crow laws. That's right, it took black people with guns, not Martin Luther King Jr. getting his ass whooped. What did Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. get for getting his ass whooped? He got more ass whoopings. He got repeatedly locked up. He got abused like a motherfucker. He got shot. He got stabbed more than once. What did Malcolm X get? Malcolm X got an end. An end to Jim Crow laws. Well, on paper anyway. In real life, that shit still goes on. The Black Panther Party also had a big hand in that. And you know what? Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. himself, Mr. Peaceful Protest himself, admitted to not only owning a firearm, but to pulling it out and using it. when his family was threatened, and you guys want to pretend like I'm a bad person. Because I responded when people wanted to threaten harm against my actual harm against my friends and family, not this pretendy shit. Enough of this choosing who can be victimized and who can't based on their gender. Only women can be victimized. Only women should be allowed to go to the cops. It's okay if a woman stalks a man. It's okay if her and her friends stalk a man. It's okay if the cops refuse to look at one side or the other based on gender or looks. It's okay for the cops to try to frame an innocent man for a crime he didn't commit. It's okay for them, after realizing that the man that they were trying to frame is not the one who did it, leaving him hanging like that. Why do they do that? So they have someone that they can easily railroad and victimize if they can't catch the right person. If they had to release Joseph Michael Lopez based on a technicality, they'd have come after me. Because of the whole double jeopardy thing. Dual County Sheriff's Department legally should not have been involved in anything at all after the situation involving myself, them, and Natalie Bollinger all the way back in January of 2017. After threatening, harassing, and intimidating me on multiple occasions and not doing their jobs at my grandma's funeral, they should have never been allowed near me again. When they assisted multiple predators in getting away and never even tried to investigate, including Robert Franklin Warnick and Joshua Rayborn, just to name a couple. All of that should have been handled by Nebraska State Patrol, who refused to do their jobs because, again, literally nobody helped me. They all did what's been going on for the last month. Lots of witnesses to this shit with Molly. Lots of witnesses to that, but I have a dick and she has a cunt. So it's okay to make my life a living hell. You got to hear that lady yelling at me about how Robert what's-his-fuck here is mentally ill, as if that justifies his crimes. Meanwhile, people call me mentally ill to pretend I'm somebody like him. He just goes up and treats people like fucking shit for no goddamn reason. And I get victimized over the term mentally ill, while this lady wants to use it as a fucking excuse for that man who's a piece of shit to keep doing that. No, him being mentally ill does not make it okay. He's not being forced into a situation where he has to do those things. He isn't forced to threaten people back to try to show that it's illegal to fucking threaten people. Meanwhile, it is illegal for him to fucking threaten bodily harm against another person, and he has done so repeatedly, at least a dozen times since my first encounter with him. And that lady wanted to yell at me and tell me she'll pray for me. Well, I'm going to tell you where you can shove your prayers. I don't even need to tell you. You can fucking guess, can't you? Good to be radio. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper and no victim left behind.